Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Lying. I had a guy pull up on me the other day, and he asked me, how did I get to the point that I am today? Right now, don't get me wrong. You can't put me on a pedestal. I don't put myself on a pedestal. But he heard me talking to another individual, and that other individual said something to me, and I told him, I said, man, I don't lie. I'm just not gonna lie anymore. And I finished that conversation with that one guy, but then the other guy that had overheard me talking to this one guy, and that's why I say always be mindful of what you're saying, because other people may be listening to you, right? And you're setting an example even in that moment, whether you realize it or not, right? But anyway, this other guy that pulled up on me, and he said, I heard you just talking to dude, and you was talking about you don't lie. I said, no, I don't lie anymore. I don't lie anymore. Most definitely, not intentionally, not anyway right now. Again, I might say something that's not 100% true based off of the facts that I know about it. Like if I say something about LeBron James, he might have scored 20 points in the game the other night, and it turns out that he scored 25 points. You okay? Now, I wasn't intentionally lying about that. That's all I knew, but I should have been more mindful to make sure I knew exactly what he scored before I said that, but I'm not setting out to lie. And I started to tell him this story, and I wanted to share with y'all about how I came to this point in my life and how I was able to do that, where I just thought, what's the point in lying to people? You know what I mean? It's all about who you're holding yourself accountable to. And before in my life, I held myself accountable to the people around me, the people that even love me. You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't enough. And let me explain that. Let me explain that to you. The people around you in your life, the people around me in my life, they love me. The people around me that just know me, they're friends of mine, they care about me, and I care about them, and I love my family, and I love all the people around me, and so on and so forth, right? But there's something insidious about lying, right? Because when you find yourself in a situation, that lying comes from a spirit of fear, and God don't give us a spirit of fear, right? We know who that comes from, okay? But when you're lying, for me, it was mostly about not wanting the other person to see me as less than I had presented myself to that person as being, right? So, what do I mean by that? Well, when I'm talking to somebody or dealing with somebody, they have this idea of who Joe Baker is, okay? This is in the past. Joe Baker's this upstanding dude and this, that, and the third, right? But all of that was based off of a reputation that was based off of a lie. Most people in the penitentiary got to know me based off of my reputation when I was in rotation. Most people that knew me before I came to the penitentiary, they knew me based off of a reputation that I had gained with different people in my life. I didn't intend, and like I think most people don't intend to just lie for the heck of it. I don't think people do that. You lie because you're afraid of people seeing you as less than who you think you are and who they think you are, right? And let me tell you this story that happened to me that brought this to my attention, right? About, about who I hold myself accountable to now, right? Which I'm sure all of y'all know who I hold myself accountable to. There was this guy. I was laying in the cell. I was chilling one night. And, near lockdown time, most people get to running around, especially, those that don't have a lot. They'll get to running around in the park and start asking, for noodles and Kool-Aids and all this and that, right? Just so they can have something to go in and eat and drink on, right? And there was this one guy in particular. That he would always kick it with me and I would kick it with him, but he had gained a reputation for being the type of individual to always be wanting around, go around bugging and bombing from people, right? But I tolerated it. I tolerated him because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I'm trying to help him, right? But I was just being obedient, not willingly obedient, but obedient because I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing. But I wasn't willingly obedient. Willingly obedient is when you don't mind doing it. You're not doing it because that's what you think you should do. You're doing it because that's what you want to do. And I wasn't doing that. And at that point, I realized that I wasn't holding myself accountable to the Most High. I was holding myself accountable to Him and the people that might see me interact with him or the people that might hear me when I'm talking to him, right? I'm holding myself accountable to them. So when he came around, he asked me for a lemonade pack, something that probably cost 5 cents, right? Well, they're a little bit more expensive now, but back in the day, it didn't cost that much. And I knew that I had one lemonade packet left in my commissary bag, just one. And I hadn't thought about drinking it or anything like that, but I knew I just had one left. So when he came to me and he asked for that, I told him, no, I don't have any lemonade pack. I didn't say it in a mean way or anything like that. I just said, nah, I ain't got none, bro. And he said, oh, okay, Big Joe, appreciate you. Whoop-de-woo, that's that. And the third, then he got on down. And I'm talking about, it wasn't 30 seconds. I raised up out the bunk. Something told me, go tell that man the truth. Give it to him, not give it to him, but tell him the truth, right? I get up, I grab the lemonade, and it's less than 20 feet from when I came out of the cell to walk him down to tell him that I was lying, right? But as I'm walking to him, I'm starting to feel weird. I'm starting to feel awkward because I don't want this dude to think I'm a liar. And I just lied to him for nothing. I could have given it to him, not given it to him, whatever the case may be, but I just flat out lied to him because I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to give it to him because he waits at this odd hour of the night every time to go around to different people asking for stuff. And I had just gotten frustrated with that. And I want to be obedient. I want him to always think that I'm there to help him. But I wasn't being willingly obedient. I wasn't trying to help him. I was more concerned about how it was making me feel. You understand? So when I walked up on him, guess what I did? Lied again. When I got up on him, I said, here you go, man. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know I had one in there. I looked when you left, so I brought this to you. Even when I was going to straighten it, I couldn't straighten it. I couldn't straighten it. I'm rationalizing because I was still ashamed of what I did, and I was still embarrassed for what I did. Still embarrassed. So I gave him the lemonade, and I went back to the cell, and I did not sleep that night. I just didn't sleep good that night because I was off kilter. I was tossing and turning. Why is this bothering me? He got the lemonade. You feel what I'm saying? Why is this bothering me? And then it dawned on me the next morning, right? After all of that tossing and turning, the night's sleep lost, it dawned on me. I'm worried about how he sees me versus how the Most High sees me. You feel what I'm saying? At that point, I realized that it's not about him knowing if I lied to him either time. It was about me knowing that I lied to him and that I had disappointed the Most High. Who am I holding myself accountable to? Man or the Most High? And that is what got me to the point to where it's like, you know what? If I don't want to give somebody something, I'll politely tell them no. If I have an issue with something that's going on with you, I'll politely say that, or I won't say it, but I won't let it bother me. I won't let it change my behavior. See, I let something bother me, right? And it changed who I really want to be. I didn't have to tell him that I didn't have a lemonade pack. I could have told him, yeah, bro, I got one, but I'm going to drink it later. I could have told him that. But I didn't want him to not see me as this person that was helpful and kind and all this and that. So I presented myself to him as a fraud. I presented myself as a fraud, and in that moment, I realized that I was a fraud. And then when I went back again, I continued to keep up the facade of being a real dude. And I wasn't being real at all with him. Wasn't being real at all with myself. Because I was holding myself accountable to how he saw me. How I wanted him to see me. I was being phony. I wasn't keeping it real. You know how people say you ain't got a lie to kick it? Everybody says that kind of stuff. But we quickly, when it comes to our image, how we see ourselves, we'll make it up. We'll make it up. And when you do that, you never, let me correct that. While I was living like that, I never gave myself the opportunity to become a better person. I never gave myself the opportunity to become a better person, because the journey to becoming a better person is peeling back those layers, even though they hurt. I don't have to make some public announcement that I'm working on myself today, but I do have to put in the work. That's between me and the Most High. See, we get caught up in this, how we need to make sure that people know what it is that's going on with us. I don't need everybody knowing what's going on with me. I just need to be the right person at the right time for them. And the only way that I can be the right person for them and for me is to do the right thing. And the work that I got to put in to get that outcome, I need to be honest with myself about it. But if I'm not going to be honest with myself, I can't be honest with you. Who wants to deal with somebody that won't even keep it real with themselves? Barring some kind of mental issue or something like that going on, you don't want to kick it with somebody that ain't going to keep it real with themselves. But see, that's what happens when we get caught up and we want to be better, we want to do better, but we don't put in the work. Because one, we're not paying attention. We're not paying attention. I could have very easily just went on with my life and not even let that bother me. But I didn't, because that self-awareness that I've developed, right, made me wonder. That's why I couldn't sleep at night, because I'm trying to always work on myself, and that was something that was bothering me. What did I do that for? I didn't have to lie to that man. I don't even know him like that. And even if I did know him like that, I still didn't have to lie. So I started to go back over my life, and I thought about all the times, man, that I lied to my grandparents, my sister, brothers, my sons, all of the different things that I've said to them, the people that I loved in my life, all the things that I've said to them that were not true, because I didn't want them to see me for who I had become, who I was in those moments, a liar. I didn't want them to see me like that, but I had done so much and been so good at it, it was almost better for me to ignore it and continue to go on like it. And when you do that, you lose that self-awareness. You lose that ability to recognize when you're just out of pocket. And then you'll start to think that this is who you are. And when you start to think that that's who you are, let me correct that. When I started to think that's who I was, right? Then my behavior meant nothing to me. I just did whatever. I did whatever. I know sometimes people talk about gateway drugs and, you use this and it's going to lead to that and all this and that, right? Well, it might be some truth to that. The reason I say it might be some truth to that, because your behavior can graduate, escalate. You start out lying, next thing you know, you end up killing. And I know that may not be true for most people, right? That you may never get to that point, that you do that. But what I challenge you to think about is this. If you lie to somebody, ask yourself, why are you lying to them? Why are you saying it? You say, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want them to see me as somebody that can't help them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them to see me as somebody that's selfish and won't help them. Whatever image you're trying to present to somebody, whoever you present yourself to be to somebody, let it not be based on a lie. Because if you do that, trust me and understand one thing about yourself. One thing I learned about myself. If I present myself to somebody and it's not real, it's not genuine, I'm not being truthful, that is not who I am. It's not who I am. That's who I think I am, but that's not who I am. And what I'm doing is presenting a fraud to them. And if I continue to present myself as a fraud, or think of myself as a fraud, then I will be a fraud. If I continue to participate in a lie, I am a liar. And that's hard. It was hard for me. It was hard for me to understand and accept that. It was hard for me to understand and accept that. So when I talked to the young man about that, he's standing there looking at me, and it was almost like I could see that his face was twisting throughout the conversation. It was almost like he was wrestling with, is he telling me the truth? Is this story real? So I took liberties with what I thought I was reading, his body language, and I said, everything that I'm telling you now is true. Everything that I'm telling you is true. And it looks to me that you're struggling. Now, he said, do you have to tell people the truth in every situation? I said, if you can't tell them the truth, then don't say nothing. If you can't tell them the truth, don't say nothing, man. Don't put yourself in a situation where the truth can hurt you. What do I mean by that? Gang member come up in here, in this environment I'm talking about. Gang member come up to you, he asks you, you know what I'm saying, can you do this for me or can you do that for me? And you know that you can't do it, right? You know that you can't uphold what he's saying. So you tell him, I'll do it, because you are afraid. You're scared. You're putting yourself at risk. So what's the best option for you? Stay out of that type of environment as best you can. Stay out of that environment. Stay away from that. Don't get caught in a situation where somebody can weaponize the truth against you, because that's what a lot of people do. And it makes us off balance. It makes us feel bad. And then we'll start to say and do things that put us in a bad situation. And knowing it's not true, knowing we can't uphold what we just said, but we did it because we were afraid. We didn't want them to think that we couldn't be the dude that they wanted us to be, as opposed to the dude that the Most High wants us to be. You understand? That's what you got to get. That's what you got to get. Who are you holding yourself accountable to? And what type of individual, what group of people are you hanging around that you have to lie to be accepted by them? Who are you associating yourself with that you believe that you have to lie about who you really are in order for them to accept you? Now ponder that for a minute. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace.
I'm getting so tired.